So on today's episode of What Is Jay Up To, I'm customising this Triumph Bonneville for a customer. We're putting a shorter seat rail on it, painting the headlight, or powder coating the headlight, and some extra little bits. Nothing too exciting, but I'll go through the whole process. So obviously, it's going to start with removing the seat, which is held on with 2 bolts underneath the back, and we just pull it off. Right, so this is what we're putting on here. We're putting a down and out seat unit with a seat loop on it. The customer supplied this. I've just laid it on here so I can roughly see where I've got a cut and how much of the back I've actually got to take off. So it's obviously going to be cut about here. And then the rear lights and stuff refitted to it. So another thing I do is I always take pictures of the wiring, because as you can see, yellow goes to blue, black goes to black, and red goes to orange. So it saves me trying to figure out where they go when I put it back together. I always take loads of pictures as I go along. So with all the back under tray and rear light removed, I've laid this on, hooked it in the front of the seat, and you can roughly see where I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to cut it a little bit longer, just a touch. So then it's easier to take metal off than it is to add it on. So we'll start cutting very shortly. So another tip of mine is when you're cutting through, what I do is I don't cut all the way through. As you can see this side, I'll cut through a little bit more than that. I tend to find if you cut all the way through, because there's tension in the frame, the tension will undo and it will grab hold of the disc and then snag the disc. So I tend to cut nearly all the way through, and I'll either hacksaw it or just fatigue break it by working the metal up and down. So that's the seat laid on. I've now got to insert the slugs. I'm going to clean all the paint up around here. Clean it up, deburr it all. I can insert the slugs in so it all sits dead straight. And then on this one I'm going to TIG it up. Keeps it nice and neat. Obviously remove the battery as well to stop any surging so I don't blow any of the electronics up. So this kit comes with split slugs. I just want to test fit them in there. Probably so if there's any discrepancies in the size of tube, it's more adjustable, which works out quite well. Give them a little nip up, hammer them in, then they spring back out again. Ready to slide the seat loop on. Right, so that's the seat loop hammered on. I would video it, but it's boring me just slide a seat loop on. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the seat attached to this so I keep it all dead square. As you can see, I don't know if you can see under there, the seat is mounted to the subframe in 2 positions. I've hooked it in the front of the seat, so that way it will keep it all square. I'll put a little tiny tack underneath both sides, and then I'll unbolt the seat, obviously, so I don't burn it. Right, well that's the subframe tacked on. I'm now going to pull all this wiring to one side, weld up this side, weld up the other side. Yeah, it's pretty simple to be fair. The only thing it would have been nice if maybe they could have developed a bolt-on seat rail, because obviously I'm going to have to aerosol or get this painted, this back end in to match the frame. Whereas if it was bolt-on, you could have powder coated it and it would have just bolted on, obviously, but we moved. This is the kit I was supplied, so this is what we'll work with. So I've just unmasked this. So basically what I've done, I've aerosoled it in, and I've flicked it into the original frame a bit to blend it all in. It's still a bit wet. So next up, I've cut these little turnouts out of a 180-degree bend, so I've got 2 to match. And then we're going to fit these, I'm going to TIG them on the end of these exhausts. Customer just wanted them out there just to finish the pipes off because they just look a bit unfinished where the muffler's just been cut off originally. So they'll just fit on there and just turn it up a little, or either turn it up or turn it down, whatever I think looks best. So I've tacked it on. I'll put a little beader weld on there. So with stainless, if you've never worked with it before, when you weld it, if you have a little gap, it really pulls the metal in. So what I try to do is put a few tacks on it on the way round before I do any welding. Otherwise, if you started welding this side, that would pull a huge gap out the back and you'd never be able to fill it. You'd have to cut off and start again. Or fill it full of filler rod, which we don't particularly want to do on this one. So also this morning, I've took the headlight off, as you can see, which is a pain because all this fucking wiring was rammed in the headlight and the wire is so stiff and hard. But I managed to get it out, so it'll be fun working that back in. I've tried to disconnect as little as possible. And then the headlight's going black to match the rest of it because it was like a weird like a goldy colour. So we're going to put some fork gaiters on here as well. So the forks are going to come out next. And then, yeah, we just blacken the whole bike out. Right, so next up we're putting fork gaiters in here. So I'll talk you through the process of taking the forks out. Easy job. I've already removed the caliper. Just two 12mm bolts. I'm going to start unbolting the mudguard and stuff while it's up on here. And then we're going to jack the bike up. I'm going to move the straps to the back. And yeah, remove the forks, slide the gaiters on, put them back in and put it all back together. So that's the front wheel and mudguard off. I didn't film it because it's pretty self-explanatory. Jack the bike up, just so the wheel's off the floor, take the wheel out. Quite simple. Forks are now coming out and I'm going to slide the gaiters on and put it all back together. That's the front end all back together. Gaiters on, blacked out headlight, ready to go. Just waiting for the mudguard to turn up from the customer. And this one's ready to go after a good clean and a road test. Right, and that's it all done. Down and out mudguard fitted on the back, all the little indicators, blacked out headlight, turnouts on the pikes. Nothing fancy, just a nice simple little job. These lovely little bright indicators down here. But yeah, turned out really good. Back off to the customer. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe.